I'm not gonna make up. Not that anyone asked, but if you're looking at my hands being like, oh, why are her nails looking so nasty? It's because I had a cheeky little anxiety attack like 3 days ago and my brain just went, you know what? We don't need these! So I'm letting them heal before I put some press-ons on. So yes, I'm aware they look like trash. Read me in the comments if you want. Because you know what? Accurate. Hello beautiful and welcome back to Water Cooler Convo Makeup, or welcome to Water Cooler Convo Makeup if this is your first video that you're watching of mine. Hi, hello, I'm JJ. I don't know who I am in all honesty. But this is a place where I like to talk about the things that I want to talk about, the things that you want me to talk about, and sometimes we meet in the middle. And I talk about the things that we want me to talk about whilst I do my makeups. And today, I have fallen down an absolute rabbit hole. Today we're going to be talking about child stars, because with the Free Britney documentary and hashtag Free Britney, with the Demi Lovato Dancing with the Devil documentary, with the recent passing of Kevin Clark, who played Freddie Jones in School of Rock. Oh my gosh, my heart broke with that news. With Billie Eilish's Evolution and recent Vogue cover, with the recent announcement of an iCarly reboot. So with all of this information coming out about all of these different child stars, most of them I grew up watching or listening to. I grew up with them, which is very interesting and also makes me feel a little bit unaccomplished, but whatever, it's fine. But with all this information coming out, I found myself researching the backstories of a lot of them, and I knew that there was a level of toxicity, but I guess I didn't know to what real extent until I started researching. Because these are the famous children that the world absolutely adores until they grow up. Then the media either seems to love them or almost relish in their spiraling or downfalls, or relish in their less than favorable moments. And it's sometimes kicking them when they're down, because at 12, when they start their careers, they should know the ins and outs of the industry. They should know all of the pressures, how to handle all of the pressures. They should know what it's like to be a role model for thousands, millions even, before they learn algebra, yeah? Like, before they understand algebra, they should understand all of that, right? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. But it's fine. It's not everything has to make sense to me, right? Like, not all rational thoughts are gonna make sense to me, right? Disclaimer and content warning: in this video I will be discussing, as I've already specified, child stars, their backstory, and what could have possibly led to their downfall. This video will have discussions of mental health, eating disorders, self-medication, self-harm, substance abuse, and abuse. If any of these topics are possibly triggering to you, please proceed with caution or consider clicking off this video altogether, because at the end of the day, I do not want any of my content to jeopardize your well-being and jeopardize your happiness. Also, even though I trust all of you, I still need to make it clear that I do not encourage, promote, or endorse any kind of negative, harassing, or malicious behavior towards anyone that I discuss in this video. This video is strictly for entertainment and analytical purposes, and I do not want any kind of negativity to go out there into the world on my behalf or because of something that I've said. So we're good to keep it cheeky, we're good to keep it messy, we're good to keep it fun, but keep it to this video and keep it to this channel only, please. With all of that said and done, let's get on to my analysis and get on to the video. Not so fast, future JJ here, and I first have to admit that I fucked up, and I'm so sorry, because in my original research, note-taking, note-making, and original filming of this video, I focused so hard on the past of child stars that I completely missed the recent announcement of Demi Lovato saying that they are non-binary and saying that their pronouns are now they, them. So in the research, note-taking, note-making, and original filming of this video, I did misgender Demi Lovato, and for this I am so sorry. In the parts of this video where I have misgendered Demi, I will be refilming them like this, so the visuals of the video will go from me putting on makeup to having no makeup on like this, and then going back to putting on makeup, because I think the points that I'm making are important enough to keep them in, but I don't think they're important enough to justify misgendering someone. But in other parts of this video where I am discussing Demi, thankfully in the original filming, I only addressed Demi by name, not by pronouns, so therefore those parts will be staying in. I'm so sorry, Demi, for doing this, and I'm so sorry to anyone else that I've disappointed by doing this, because regardless of my intentions, the fact is that I completely overestimated my research for this specific video. I promise that this won't be happening again, because even if I think I have everything, I will be double checking, I will be triple checking, and in general, I will just be a lot more thorough in my research in the future. Child stars are those lucky children who grew to great heights of fame in their adolescence, typically with acting or singing. The stars that grew up in front of the cameras, they grew up in front of the press, they grew up in front of the world. And some succeed despite the unobtainable pressures that are put upon them from their fame, and they're adored for decades by all. And I say unobtainable because not everyone gets to be a celebrity. When I say unobtainable, I mean this is a very selective kind of job. But some, unfortunately, aren't so lucky because they do crumble under this pressure, and they're judged so harshly by it that they're almost villainized by the press and by the public. And I don't know about you, but puberty was rough. Like, there are some moments in my teen years and even my young adult years that were particularly messy, and having to do that in the public eye is just a kind of pain that I don't want anyone to ever have to experience. Already I don't want people to experience what I had to go through in my teen years and young adult years, but doing that in front of the cameras as well, and having the world judging you, and having the world turn that into tabloids and using that to sell magazines, that's a special kind of cruel. Right. Which is why, in hindsight, I'm so grateful as to how lucky I was to have this level of privacy that some of these child stars just unfortunately aren't lucky enough to have. There is a long documented individual history for every single child star out there, but weirdly, there seems to be some sort of overlap with a lot of them, with majority of them struggling with different mental illnesses. A lot of them have struggled with depression, anxiety, BPD, as well as body image issues or eating disorders. These just seem to be the most common struggles that these child stars have to deal with, but there are so many other mental illnesses and disorders that these child stars have to deal with. It just depends on the individual and their story. So who we see in a photo, who we see on screen, who we hear in a song isn't necessarily who they see. Or we don't see the whole entire picture. We only see what's on the surface, and they can see what's lying underneath. They can see the pain that is behind their eyes or behind their voice. And some of this seems to stem from a lack of individuality, a lack of self-expression, a lack of authenticity that these child stars are allowed to show in their youth. Disney and Nickelodeon stars have become quite open about what is actually happening off camera, behind the scenes, on set when the cameras are turned off over the last few years, discussing their lack of individuality, their lack of self-expression, their lack of authenticity. Miley Cyrus has discussed that while filming Hannah Montana, she was told what a girl is supposed to be from being on that show. So as soon as the show stopped filming, the show was over, everything was done-ski, she was kind of left sitting there thinking, who the fuck am I? In 2013, Joe Jonas wrote a piece for Vulture magazine called Joe Jonas, My Life as a Jonas Brother. There was a lot of Jonases in there and Joes in there that I feel as though I said something wrong. What a sentence. Where he discussed and recounted the pressures of being a Disney star. From what I've read, Joe was 15, Kevin was 17, and Nick was 12. A literal freaking child when they signed their contract with Disney. And that's when the Jonas Brothers as a band and their careers really took off. But where we, normal people, have math, they also had media training. They were taught how to answer questions and how to change the subject from questions where the answers were just never going to be favourable for Disney's image. There was this added pressure to their lives of not wanting to let anyone down. They didn't want to let down their parents, their family, their friends, Disney, audiences, fans. So when you're out in public and you have a fan or fans begging you for a photo, you almost feel as though you can't say no, because otherwise, next thing you know, there could be this expose made about how you made a fan cry because you didn't want to take a photo. But then Joe also recounts an interview that he and his brothers had where the interviewer seemed fixated, like absolutely obsessed with their true love Waite's rings, and was insistent on asking them very personal questions about these rings, and was essentially asking the boys about their sex life. Nick at the time being 15. Why is that necessary? He even says in his piece that being a part of the Disney thing for so long will make you not want to be this perfect little puppet forever. And eventually he said screw this, like so many other child stars do. There have been rumors for quite some time that allegedly both Nickelodeon and Disney have really tight contracts that essentially make their child stars their cash cow puppets. So when their contracts are up, their contracts are done, their shows are done, they're left there thinking, who am I And what am I supposed to do? Because when you're told for a significant part of your childhood, your teen years, your developmental stages, how to act, how to talk, how to walk, how to answer questions, how to dress, just how to exist as a whole, and that the whole world is watching you and that you are a role model and just adding so much pressure to you. But while you're being told how to exist, you're also told that other people are just going to treat you however they want to treat you, and you just have to go with it, and they're not going to face any kind of consequences. When are you ever given the chance to be a kid? When are you ever given the chance to be a teenager? When are you ever given the chance to just sit back, relax, chill, have fun for yourself? And I fear that with these rhetorical questions, the answer is never. So when the cameras stop, it's not surprising that a lot of these child stars like to party. They like to relax. They like to have fun. They like to let their hair down for the first time in their lives, because for the first time, they're not anyone's puppet. And sometimes it's hard to know when the partying needs to stop, especially when some of it can be so addictive for someone who is struggling mentally, which is how we get a lot of stories of self-medication from these child stars. The Demi Lovato Dancing with the Devil docuseries being an example of this, because Demi over the years has been incredibly open about their struggles with their mental health, with their sobriety. In the docuseries and interviews outside of the docuseries, Demi has opened up about the fact that they were self-medicating like a lot of teens do to numb the pain. With interviews from Demi and close family and friends, we're started to be painted this picture that Demi never actually asked to be this huge inspirational role model. They just seemingly ended up there because of how open they were about their struggles, when the possibility is that maybe they were just crying out for help, crying out to be treated with respect and compassion while they were struggling. But after a while, when you're put on such a high pedestal and forced to be this role model that you never asked to be, you start to become a martyr to it. Because Demi was now this perfect poster child for how to overcome mental health and how to overcome addiction and how to recover. And unfortunately, there was now this added pressure of if they could slip up, anyone could slip up. And eventually, this pressure to be this perfect poster child is what is specified in interviews the reason that started this slippery slope to Demi's eventual overdose in 2018 that they thankfully survived. This notion of being forced to be a role model is one that I've read quite frequently throughout my research for this video. So many child stars have said that they never asked to be a role model and they never claimed to be a role model. Jeanette Mccurdy even saying that if you view a celebrity like a role model, it's like viewing a stranger as a role model, because you can only go off of what you see on camera. But for some child stars, fame isn't specifically something that they chose. For Jeanette Mccurdy, who played Kat in iCarly, and Bella Thorne, who played Cece in Shake It Up, both of their families were incredibly dire financial situations. Their families were in such financial struggle, such financial hardship, that as children, as teenagers, these two actresses became the primary income for their families. Jeanette Mccurdy was 14 at the time she was cast as Kat on the show iCarly, but she's opened up on her podcast that her mother put her into acting by the age of 6, and by 10 or 11-ish, she was the primary income for her family. Her family, for whatever reason, just didn't have a lot of money, and that is an incredible amount of pressure to put on a child at 10, 11, incredible pressure to put on a teenager at 14. This pressure and the unfortunate enabling and encouraging from Jeanette's late mother resulted in Jeanette's eating disorders. Jeanette has stated that she doesn't blame her late mother because her mother did have a history of eating disorders as well. But Jeanette also says that she never asked to be a role model, she never claimed to be a role model, and I can see why. Yes, being in the limelight, especially as a Disney and Nickelodeon star, being a role model to your viewers just comes with the job. But Jeanette only seemingly wanted or was seemingly forced to take on these roles so that she could financially keep her family afloat. The consideration of what also comes with the job, apart from the money that she's going to be getting, probably didn't cross her mind at 6, 10, 11 or 14, because all a child would know is that this helps the family, and Jeanette isn't the only one. As I said before, Bella Thorne also falls into this category. Bella Thorne was 12, 13-ish when she was cast as Cece in the Disney show Shake It Up. Bella Thorne has even opened up in the recent years about how she never even wanted to audition for Shake It Up, even joking in the audition that she didn't know how to sing, she didn't know how to dance, and the directors and producers and casting people just thought it was funny and were like, yeah, let's have her. But she knew as a child, as a teenager, that if she didn't audition for this role and she didn't get this role, her family would be homeless. Her mother, her 3 brothers from what I've read, and Bella would all be on the streets, homeless if Bella didn't audition and get this Disney role. I understand that financial hardships happen, and I also understand that sometimes it's a situation of you're spiraling so hard so fast that you don't even realize until you've hit a point of almost no return or a point of no return. But that's an incredible amount of pressure to put on someone who is just hitting their teen years. Don't audition for this role, don't get the part, and we're homeless. I'm sorry, but some of the biggest decisions of mine at the age of 13 were what title page I'm putting at the front of my books when it came to high school. Like, oh, how am I going to decorate English? How am I going to decorate sciences? Wouldn't a cute beaker look great? This poor girl is having to audition for a role that she doesn't want and then play the part that she didn't want in the first place so her family doesn't go homeless. And these two women are only two examples of children who were thrust into the limelight at such a young age when they possibly didn't even want to be in the first place, just to keep their families financially stable. Losing a key part of their childhood, a key part of their identity, their authenticity, their developmental years, just to stop their families from going homeless or hungry, or both. Then after their shows run their course, their contracts are done, they are free, they start to explore who they are for the first time. They start to explore their freedom in the world and what life is like after Disney and after Nickelodeon, only to be slammed for being poor role models, with harsh comparisons to their co-stars made to emphasize this point and emphasize their poor evolution. The Zendaya and Bella Thorne comparison is probably the one most talked about. A few years ago when Zendaya was getting a lot of hype, which may I add rightfully so because she is doing amazingly after Disney. I have a lot of appreciation and respect for Zendaya because I think she's just so genuine and she's stunning from the inside out, and she is a breath of fresh air sometimes. Her commentary on society and the world is one that I do genuinely enjoy to read. But in hyping up Zendaya, the media and the internet took the opportunity to slam Bella at the same time, either to emphasize the point of, wow, look how good Zendaya has grown up after Disney, or the other one, which is, wow, look how trash Bella Thorne has grown up after Disney. It was either to hype up Zendaya or it was to tear Bella down. Just a lot of, how did one age so gracefully but the other one didn't? Wow. Hypotheticals without much compassion or analysis of the backstories of each of the women that they are comparing. Also, from what I know of Zendaya, she definitely does not encourage this idea of the way to uplift one woman is to tear another woman down, which is why she has shown so much love and support for Bella over the years. From what I've read, Bella and Zendaya were pitted against each other both on and off set. Bella has been quite open about this in a lot of interviews, saying that her and Zendaya have had some beautiful conversations over the years in the hopes to bridge the gap that this toxic pitting had put on their friendship or possible friendship. And I say possible friendship because in season 1 of Shake It Up, according to Bella, the two weren't friends. They had to play friends, but they weren't friends off camera because the toxic pitting was so much that they just didn't know how to have any kind of a relationship. It was really nice to read that the two were able to have some sort of positive communication, positive conversation, where they were able to have some sort of a friendship, have some sort of love and support whilst they were in the show together, even with all of this toxic BS pitting of each other. I just, like, why is that necessary? Why is it necessary for you to pit your two co-stars against each other when they're supposed to play friends anyway? Do you really think that you're going to motivate them by being like, hey, she's better than you? Fix that. Hey, she's better than you. Fix that. Do you really think you're going to get the best performance out of teenagers, out of children, by making them bitter? By making them petty? By making them jealous? Positive reinforcement goes a long way, guys. Come on. But unfortunately, even after the show was done, this toxic mentality of pitting Zendaya against Bella, pitting Bella against Zendaya still existed in the media. Still existed on the internet. Both have been through their struggles and both have been through their hardships, and to say whose is worse is irrelevant because pain is pain. But seemingly what Zendaya had versus what Bella had was Zendaya seemed to have this beautiful, loving, supportive, healthy family dynamic that helped her transition from Disney star to star. But for Bella, her family dynamic was seemingly unhealthy even before she was cast on Shake It Up, because if we remember, she didn't even want to audition, but she did to keep a house over her family's head. So if we really boil it down, we have praised one woman for having a healthy family dynamic and slammed one for having a toxic family dynamic. Now, I'm not the best scientist in the world, but I'm pretty sure the way it works is, 1, we don't get to pick if we're born into this world or not, and 2, we don't get to pick what family we're born into. Just saying. I understand over the years Bella has gotten herself into quite a few controversies. The two that I have heard about are TanaCon and the OnlyFans situation. But when I say heard about, I literally mean I heard about it. I didn't read anything, I didn't watch anything, I didn't see anything, I just know that that was a thing. So I heard, but I didn't go further than that, and because of that, I'm not going to comment on these controversies because I literally don't have any information when it comes to them, except that she was involved and it was OnlyFans or TanaCon. But in saying this, trash behavior does deserve consequences, and unfortunately, if she was in the wrong for those situations, then sorry babes, but you gotta suffer the consequences. But for some of her behavior and some of her self-expression being too alternative for some, I don't see the need or the justification for the level of slut shaming that she has endured over her adult life. Oh, you don't like how she dresses? Then don't dress like that. What a wild idea! Oh my god, if someone dresses a certain way, you don't have to dress that way? Oh my gosh! Look at that little nugget I found and gave to you. You know what? There's my gift. You can have it for free. This shaming without any kind of consideration for what could possibly be happening under the surface is one that's seen far too often and has been happening for such a long time. And I don't just mean slut shaming. In this video so far, I've only listed a handful of people, so let me paint you a bigger picture. Lindsay Lohan, Misha Barton, Haley Joel Osment, Shia LaBeouf, Amanda Bynes, Justin Bieber, Mitchell Musso, Macaulay Culkin, Annalise Vanderpool, Orlando Brown, David Henry, Britney Spears are just a few names of child stars whose mugshots have been plastered and slammed on the covers of magazines. Yes, all committed crimes, including DUIs, drug possession, grand theft auto, instigating fights, just to name the most common and a few of them. And all should pay their fines, serve their time for the crimes that they committed, and do what everyone else has to do, which is suffer the consequences. But the consequences don't stop there for these child stars because, as I said before, the media loves to kick them while they're down to make a profit. Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears are just three women who have had huge mental breakdowns in public, and what did the media do? What did the tabloids do? They profited off of it. They turned someone's hardships, someone's struggles into juicy goss and sold it at like $5.99 a pop or something like that. Because when someone's struggling so severely with their mental health, you know what we should do? Kick them while they're down. They can deal with it. It's fine. They're having fun. All had some sort of outcry from fans, from people that were concerned for them to get help, for them to receive the help that they need in this situation. But unfortunately, at the time, none were in a mentally or physically healthy place for them to be able to either seek out help or accept the help that people were willing to give them. All have seemed to grow an attempt to apologize and atone for their wrongdoings during their struggles, and all seem to be getting or have gotten their lives back on track since, which of course is great to see. But where my curious mind starts to go here is Britney had hashtag Free Britney, and because of this got the Free Britney documentary. Demi has also had a chance to say their side of the story in their documentary. Both have seemingly received a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of acceptance in apologies both present and previous due to the circumstances that both were in individually that we now have context for. Because we as an audience now see that these two child stars were failed by the system as early as their childhood, through their teen years, through to their adulthood. And this left lasting pain and scars that are still healing. I am yet to watch the Britney documentary as well as the entire Dancing with the Devil documentary. I've only seen the first episode of that one, and then I had to tap out because it was a lot more than I expected. But after researching this video, I think I am going to invest some time into watching these documentaries because I am both heartbroken but fascinated by the backstories to so many of these child stars. But in saying all of this, how many child stars were failed by this system? How many of these child stars were allowed to have this production value, to get a documentary, to tell their side of the story in hopes to get the support that they deserved to have years ago? How many child stars are owed some sort of apology by the media? And I fear to know the answer to these questions because even though they are rhetorical, I fear that the answer is all of them. Ultimately, childhood and teen years are already a lot. In the space of 18 years, we're expected to learn basic functioning, literacy, numeracy, history, geography, science, emotions, how to make friends, how to keep friends, love, dating, mental health illnesses, and puberty. And so many more. Throw on top of that, you going from no one to someone overnight and being in such a harsh spotlight overnight, and then having the added pressures of being a role model to your audiences and to your fans, and also the added pressures of what it's like to be famous. If we're saying that children are impressionable and they should be protected at all costs, and they are given leniency for consequences because their brains and bodies are still developing, then how can we expect for a child to understand concretely and in its entirety the pressures and the struggles that some of their favorite actors and musicians are facing behind the camera? But not only understand these struggles, understand these pressures, but also how to cope with them, how to process them, so that you can still be this perfect little puppet on camera without the correct kind of support, without the correct kind of education, without the correct kind of compassion, respect, and love. We can't. And yet when they don't, they're slammed. And this is why my research got gradually more and more heartbreaking, because I knew that there was some toxic BS happening on set, once the cameras were off or the cameras weren't filming. You just knew it was there. Not every workplace is perfect. There's going to be some sort of level of toxicity, and you could visually see it when it came to the media, when it came to the press, when it came to the tabloids, because you can still find articles on the internet that are 10 child stars that went crazy. 10 child stars that did not age well. And it's why is that necessary, fam? Okay. But I remember myself at 15, 16. And let me tell you, I was an angry little shit. My depression was so bad that it wasn't even just sadness anymore. It was just pure freaking rage. Just pure freaking rage. So I don't know how I would have coped with all of this, because I couldn't even cope with it in privacy. And even though, as I said before, I knew that there was toxic BS happening, I didn't realize to what extent. So I'm really glad that I researched this video, and I'm really glad that I've made this video, because there's quite a few people out there that I think deserve some sort of recognition and deserve some sort of redemption and apology, because hot diggity damn. I don't really know how to put any kind of resolution into words right now. I think because there just isn't a resolution, because I've researched so many multiple stories, I haven't focused on one specific person's story. So I guess there is a lack of conclusion for me and my research specifically with this video. Yeah, I think that's what I'm feeling right now. I think that's what I'm feeling, is I feel no ultimate conclusion with this video as a whole, because there's so many stories that I'm now missing. And I feel my brain going from brie to Swiss cheese. So, it makes sense if you watch my previous video. I feel my brain going from brie to Swiss cheese, so I think I've got to fill those pockets with just the individual stories. Yeah, let me know if you want to see that. Let me know what you think of this whole entire video. Let me know all your thoughts, all your opinions on this video, the people that I mentioned, some of their stories that I mentioned, but also let me know if you want me to do a deeper dive into an individual child star's life, backstory, and hardships that they have faced because of the media, or have faced during the media and their stardom, because as I said, my brain's gone from brie to Swiss cheese. So I got some little pockets that I want to fill, and if you want me to fill them and to give you my thoughts and everything, let me know in the comments. But also, you can let me know down in the comments what you think of my face. So the inspiration for this one came from two different places. One, I was scrolling through Instagram and I found Luna Faye Beauty, and hot diggity damn. Oh, there is so much lusciousness on that Instagram page. Chef's kisses everywhere. Absolute perfection, absolutely stunning. And then my Zodiac series I did Sagittarius, and I just felt like I could do better. So I mixed the two of them together and I got this. And you know what? I say this every freaking video, but fight me right now. I look incredible. I look stunning. I wish that I didn't have to go to work tonight, because I have to wash this off. And I hate that. I don't want to wash this off. I want to wear this all the time. I want to look like this always. This looks so good. This looks so good. This looks so good. I'm incredible. But with all that, also let me know what you want me to talk about, because I know what I want me to talk about. I know where my Swiss cheese pockets are, but maybe you know of some Swiss cheese pockets that I don't know of yet. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this video and the individual stories. Let me know if you want to see me do a deep dive. Let me know what you think of my face, and let me know what you want me to talk about next. And I just hope that you are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic month, a fantastic year, and I hope that you are doing as fantastic as always. Bye everyone. Whoop!